Good evening on this Thursday. It's great to have you here. I'm Laurel Porter.
And I'm David Molko here.
And first tonight, we have new and rather intriguing details in the domestic violence case against former Timbers soccer player Andy Polo.
You know, this has been an intriguing story for months now since we learned about this earlier this year from developments last year. A lawyer for his estranged wife says Polo was served with her civil complaint last night. I pulled it up. It's fairly short. It alleges assault, battery, and negligence. Remember, this is a civil complaint, not criminal charges by any means. By the way, Polo denies any wrongdoing whatsoever. On the heels of that, we have a story from Christine Pitawanich. She's explaining how there are new allegations that don't specifically involve Polo, but other members, so to speak, of the Timbers. Take a look. And I guess we're having some trouble with that story there in Christine's story. So we're going to work on that, get it back for you off the top. It's a really interesting, Laurel, though. We talk about a civil complaint being filed overnight. And essentially, to summarize, she is essentially saying there were people associated with the Timbers that came to her door to try to sort of, I don't want to say cover it up, but we'll look at Christine's story, kind of do the explaining here and have the response from the Timbers already.
Here it is.
I guess we have the story. Here we go.
New information is surfacing about what may have happened in the weeks after former Timbers midfielder Andy Polo is accused of hitting and being violent with his estranged wife, Genesis Alarcon. The incident happened last May. We spoke to Alarcon's lawyer, Michael Fuller, about new details that came out in a recent ESPN interview.
And one thing we learned was that the Timbers apparently sent out a manager and also some sort of a fixer-type lawyer to arrive at my client's house about 2 weeks after the domestic violence.
Fuller says there were no legal promises made, rather an implication that good things would happen if Alarcon did not press charges. Polo was axed from the team last month when the domestic violence allegations went public. The Timbers have previously apologized for not immediately suspending Polo when the incident happened. KGW reached out to the Timbers to get a response to the newest allegation. A Timbers statement says, while the Timbers offered support to Mr. Polo, Ms. Alarcon, and their children during a difficult time, there was never any suggestion, expressly or implicitly, that the support was offered in exchange for consideration by Ms. Alarcon. The Timbers would never condone or participate in such conduct.
Well, I would ask the Timbers, why would you send a lawyer out to my client's house at all if not to talk about legal matters?
Fuller says Alarcon is not doing well. She and her children are in Peru.
And she feels left out in the cold, abandoned by Mr. Polo, abandoned by the Timbers and the false promises that they made. And so a friend of hers encouraged her to seek legal counsel.
And that's exactly what she's done. Fuller says Polo was officially served the domestic violence complaint on Wednesday and has a month to respond to it. He says in Oregon, it could take 18 months to get to trial. Major League Soccer has hired an outside law firm to look into the investigation. Meantime, Polo has denied all domestic abuse accusations. Christine Pitawanich, KGW News.
And now to a public health warning about fentanyl issued just a few hours ago. Fentanyl is the deadly opioid that police believe killed 2 Portland public school students in 24 hours. We first reported this story earlier this week. One teen died Sunday, the other Monday. The Oregonian reports both students went to McDaniel High School. Investigators think they took pills made to look like other, less extreme drugs. Today, the Oregon Poison Center warned there is a clear influx of counterfeit prescription pills being sold on the streets that are cut with a cheaper, deadly drug. Maggie Vespa was already working on a story answering viewers' questions about fentanyl when today's warning came in. And Maggie, one viewer asked us to educate people on Narcan.
Yeah, Laurel, exactly they did. And the answer is basically Narcan is a brand name for the drug naloxone. It's a medicine, usually a nasal spray, that can stop and reverse an opioid overdose. And amid the opioid epidemic, and now with a rise in fentanyl deaths, experts say Narcan is a literal lifesaver. Anyone can get it at a pharmacy. You don't need a prescription. You can just walk in. And to prove that point, Ben Biamont went to a Fred Meyer pharmacy this morning and he bought 2 doses. He showed me on Zoom. Biamont is with Multnomah County's harm reduction program. I talked to him and to the director for the Oregon Poison Center there. Both recommend most people have Narcan on hand. That's how bad they say this is. That goes double for those with loved ones who struggle with addiction or even just use opioid painkillers.
Pharmacists will provide some training on how to use it. It's pretty straightforward. Even though you don't know someone, you could potentially come upon someone who has an opioid overdose.
I was able to get it in about 20 minutes. My insurance covered it. Most insurances do cover it, OHP included.
If your insurance does not cover Narcan, it's generally about $90 for 2 doses. And experts say Narcan does help counteract fentanyl, which is an incredibly strong drug, 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. And they say if you do come upon someone who you suspect has overdosed on opioids, call 911 first. And unless the operator tells you otherwise, go ahead, our experts said, and administer that nasal spray. And guys, symptoms include unconsciousness, blue lips and fingertips, as well as shallow breathing.
What critical life-saving information. Thank you, Maggie.
Sure.
We are a little more than 24 hours away from the lifting of the mask mandates in Oregon and Washington. Now, some won't be able to shed those masks fast enough. Others, well, they'll take a more cautious approach. Mike Benner joins us with what health officials are saying about this. Mike?
Well, Laurel, you hinted at it. No one size fits all when it comes to this. Just like we've seen throughout the entire pandemic, everyone will handle this differently, and it'll all play out in a matter of hours because the mask mandate ends at 11:59 tomorrow night. We checked in with Multnomah County Health Officer Dr. Jennifer Vines, just as we have since the start of the pandemic. And she says while a lot of people will shed the masks as quickly as they can, others won't because of their own health concerns or the health concerns of those around them. Take, for instance, kids under 5. They can't be vaccinated yet. Parents of those kiddos may keep masking. It does beg the question, should these kids and even older kids keep wearing masks in public or in schools that no longer require them? Dr. Vines won't say either way, but she will say this. Listen.
As cases continue to get lower and lower, the risk of those gatherings and of those social interactions only gets lower and lower. So the notion of masking in case someone around your child has the virus, just that possibility from a risk standpoint, from just a pure numbers standpoint, is going to get lower and lower.
All right, Dr. Vines says regardless of what you decide to do with the lifting of the mask mandate fast approaching, take a moment to take a breath and acknowledge what we've been through over these last 2 years. Dr. Vines urges people to focus on healing, being together, and reconnecting. The next step in all of this.
Really good advice there, reconnecting with each other. Okay, some good news for downtown Hillsboro, which is finally reopening. You might remember that devastating fire in January, which completely destroyed some of the businesses and forced others to close. Our Christelle Kumwe with a look at the recovery.
Venetian Hillsboro is celebrating a grand reopening this week after a fire rolled through downtown in early January.
And we were just finishing this ballroom, getting it ready to open, had our first event planned for Valentine's Day, and we're selling some tickets, and then the fire happened.
The restaurant and event venue is right next door to the Wheel Arcade building, where the fire started on East Main Street. Several businesses in the building were destroyed when the building's roof collapsed.
The whole street was closed for a month. We had to shut down because you could barely get to our building.
Owner John Lee says on top of smoke damage in the space, the street closure forced them to shut down for 2 months.
But we're excited because we're opening and we're just putting the finishing touches on it.
We're happy that they finally got the street back open so now people can park in front and they could just enjoy their time coming to visit us.
Lucia Santiago's parents own La Mixteca Oaxaca, a Mexican restaurant across the street from Wheel Arcade building. They've only been open for about 6 months before the fire.
Business was really slow, and so we wouldn't make as much as we did before, so we actually lost one of our spaces. We couldn't afford the rent for it, so we got evicted.
After weeks of recovery and preparation, business owners are hopeful this stretch of downtown Hillsboro will return to normalcy.
It's going to be a great time. We're going to put the building kind of through its paces again and see how it does, but I suspect it will be amazing.
In downtown Hillsboro, Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
Call it a renaissance there. An update for you, though, on that fire, though. The man accused of arson is now facing murder charges because police say after a body was found in the rubble. Investigators say his name is Ronald Knapp. His remains were found and identified more than a month after that blaze was put out.